Hi, my name's Ron Wills, and this is the Big Idea Podcast, powered by the National Association of Business Owners and Entrepreneurs. And our topic for this series are challenges to growth in the small to mid-sized business. And today I have Ajay Patil, CEO of Showcall, with me. And Ajay, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Sure. Thank you, Ron, for having me on. Ajay Patil, I'm the president and CEO of Showcall. We are a full-service design and event production firm that I'm proud to say we're celebrating our 20 years in business, and have survived a lot of different downturns and economic curveballs that we'll talk about. But some distinguishing factors about Showcall: we produce events, but we own our own audiovisual assets and beyond audiovisual. So we're able to bring the total package to clients and leverage our assets for their benefit. Another thing that makes us relatively unique, while we have a diverse client mix of corporate, government, association, and nonprofit, we have sort of become known as the large event or summit specialists, having worked on so many international U.S. leader summits over the past 20 years. So those are a couple of distinguishing factors about us.
When you're working those big events, you have upwards of a year lead time for those events, or do they do what I see happen to a lot of my clients, is where people want stuff, next month, 2 months from now?
Yeah, I wish we had a year run up. I will say that corporate is much better about it. The government, especially as it relates to the summits, no disrespect to them, but you remember how the White House timeline works, and it's been as little as a couple months. I shouldn't say as little, I'm sorry. I think the most is probably 3 or 4 months lead time. And the worst, I think it's been like, 10 days.
Oh, really? Okay. So you were saying you have your own equipment, your own assets for this, and it makes it not that we're encouraging people to come to you with short deadlines, but it makes it so that you can handle short deadlines better than most.
We've become adept to it. We don't celebrate it, but yes, it does. Having our own assets enables us to, spin things around quickly. We're not so reliant on subcontractors, so that does allow us to be more responsive.
Excellent. So we had talked about, for you, some of the challenges to growth has been human resources, staffing, and the supply chain issues. Can you take each one and just give us a little idea what kind of impact it's had on your business?
So, and I know that the human resources, staffing, and supply chain is I think it probably applies to industries across the board. The events industry was particularly hard hit. I will argue probably one of the hardest, right up there with restaurants, during the pandemic. And what we found is so many people in our industry could not make a living anymore. So they did a couple of different things. One, some of them hunkered down, lived off of savings. The net result of that was they decided that things in life, it wasn't just about money. Quality of life became important. I think they reprioritized, reshaped their lives, and coming out of the pandemic have decided either not to work as much or not to work in the industry. We had many people in the industry leave. They're smart folks, and they just reinvented themselves in other industries so they could make a living. Totally understandable. And then the third thing we've had is the folks that did make it through, their rates are now considerably higher because the demand is through the roof, and staffing is a real challenge. I have, we work with a full-time staff, of course, but we have what we call perma-lancers, and these are folks that are freelancers, but generally only work with us, but have now expanded because they had to keep them busy, and they're booking up through the end of 2022 already, not available for the rest of the year. So it is, especially with the short turnaround, as we were talking about a moment ago, is made it extraordinarily difficult to staff events. There's stories that we're hearing, not stories, we're experiencing it across the country. Labor calls, casual labor calls, stagehand calls that we will have in various cities where you're lucky if half of the people you ordered show up.
Oh, really? That's
so
wow.
And there's an expanding impact there. So now we have to say to the client, hey, I know we could load this event into one day, but we better allow for 2 days because we don't know that all the labor folks will show up. So it may take longer. So the impact, there's been higher cost of doing business. It's been a struggle internally to be able to staff and be forward looking. So the human resources has been a very, very significant factor that I think we will face for a while. I think, again, a lot of people, I was talking to a staffing specialist the other day to again say that it's not just about compensation. We've tried to hire people full time and have given them more than they had asked for. And they still decided that, quality of life and home time and family time, which is certainly great, but it's definitely, this post-pandemic environment, I think, has forever changed things, or for at least for a while.
It's changed the psychology of people. And we have these discussions all the time in my peer groups with business owners that across the board, everybody's having issues with staffing. And many have tried to come up with new creative ways. Some have said, look, people don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week like they used to. And so they've actually modified their businesses so that they're hiring people based on how many hours you want to work. And they'll readjust based on that. Now, yours is a little different because you have events and you don't have control over all the timing of the events and that sort of thing. What sort of creative new things have you done over the last year or two that maybe was different than what you did previously to find new staff?
Well, so that's an interesting question, and it's sort of a two-part answer. During the pandemic, we were not looking to hire because we were hunkered down and just moving from virtual event to virtual event in survival mode. As we've come out of that and are in a post-pandemic environment with live event demands through the roof, now we're looking at, again, that holistic approach. What are people looking for? And even it's little things. It's providing a refrigerator full of snacks and lunches every now and then. It's insisting that people take their vacation time, when before, you and I grew up in an era where you worked 60, 70-hour weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Twice about it. And that's the way of the world. And, the younger generation that we're hiring from, by and large, they have a different view. So we're having to really, we can't just put our head in the sand and pretend that we're back in the 80s and 90s. It's a new day. It's a post-pandemic day. So it's really trying to provide them with the quality life as best we can, and honoring time off. In our business, when we're busy, and 60, 70-hour weeks are a requirement. But when we have the off time, like now, we slow down in July and August, telling people, take the time, don't not use your time, take the time, reset yourself. So that come fall, when we're
be prepared for the busy season coming up.
And our industry, this may sound silly, but in our industry, we tell folks, like, look, this is not a place to become a broker where you're going to make millions of dollars and that kind of thing. This is a place to have fun. So it wasn't fun during the pandemic, and we're prioritizing that. Just the camaraderie. We're back at the office now and trying to enjoy what we do, because everybody's in our industry, they enjoy what they do. So let's make sure we do that and, work accordingly. Excellent.
So you had also mentioned the supply chain. What kind of issues that have hit your company and that has hurt over the COVID pandemic?
So, as you know, the supply chain's been impacted dramatically. Everything from microchips in Asia. I think Asia has a big impact on a lot of our supply chain issues, because we rely on them so heavily.
Sure.
In our world, as we have tried to expand our audiovisual inventory, there simply isn't, either they're not available for indeterminate amount of time, pieces of equipment, or the delay is months when it used to be days or weeks when you would order something. Even the biggest companies, I was talking to a company in Pennsylvania, they're the biggest audio company in the world, and they can't get the equipment that they need. They actually don't have enough equipment to support the tours that they have out there now. And they're having to rent when they normally would have purchased. I think it is slowly improving, but it is very slow. And what we're also seeing is manufacturers are using this opportunity to increase pricing. So, we can get it to you a little bit faster, but it's going to cost you, 15, 20% more than it used to. We were, as an example, we were doing a studio installation for one of our clients in DC, and the price that we originally gave them is just, now that they're finally ready to move forward, has to be increased by 30% just because the pricing of everything has gone up.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're hit on the pricing side, but you're also hit on the delivery side. So it's sort of a double whammy for you. Well, we've come to the end, Ajay. I want to thank you for being on the show today. Man, best of luck to you for success in the future. And it's been a lot of fun. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Ron.